Hey everybody, Zach Butler YGO back with another deck profile. It's been a while, but I wanted to bring you the Salamangreat deck that I played at the Remote Duel Regional yesterday from the side deck. I went 5-2. It was a little unfortunate. I lost round 1 to Unchained, which ended up getting first place. He opened up Nibiru Valor game 1 and Mourner Nibiru game 2. So it wasn't much I could do about that. And my hands didn't quite have the lines to mitigate the impact of Nibiru, which was unfortunate. And then I lost to Ground Xeno Dinos. Shout out to Skyhawk. He 2-0'd me pretty quick. Game 1 he had Nibiru, or he had Imperm, which was pretty strong, and then game 2 I didn't really draw that great of a hand, and he drew pretty insane. Ended up getting, I think, like 11th place or something like that, which isn't too great. But I just wanted to try the deck out with the new stuff and see how it went. It went pretty well. The deck has a surprisingly strong Pearly matchup, and it's got an okay matchup against other decks in the format. So I just want to show you where I was at with the deck so far. Maybe you're a big fan of Salamangreat. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you know I'm a huge fan of this deck. It's one of my favorite decks of all time, so I'm always a fan of getting to play it. And so we decided to give it a shot, and it went all right. If you want to pick up any of the cards you see in the deck profile, of course, use the TCG affiliate link found in the description below. Portion of that does go back to the channel, so you're helping me while supporting yourself, which is pretty awesome. And if you have any questions or comments, let me know down in the comments section. But with all of that said, let's get into the deck profile. First, we'll start off with the Salamangreat monsters. You have 3 Salamangreat of Fire. This is I think, one of the best cards for the deck possible. It searches out any Salamangreat monster on normal or special summon, and then you are locked into fires for the rest of the turn. And then its second effect is that if it's in the graveyard and a Cyrus monster you control battles, you can banish this at the beginning of the damage step to destroy your Cyrus monster. So you might be wondering why you would do that. It did come up at one point yesterday where my opponent tried to attack with an Xyz monster to make Zeus. I banished this, destroyed my monster, then the monster that was remaining didn't successfully battle because it didn't make it to damage calculation. So that was really good. But the coolest thing is that this card by itself, as long as you can get to Gazelle, obviously with no interrupts, is a full combo leading with or ending on a Reincarnate Link summoned Raging Phoenix, Gazelle in hand, field spell on field, and then any Salamangreat card you want added to your hand. And I can go ahead and show that at the end. And then we had 3 Salamangreat Foxy. I'm not necessarily sure I want to play 3 of this card going forward. Same with Fire. Actually, I might cut one of these down to 2. Salamangreat of Fire is great going first, but not that great going second. Foxy's obviously really good both first and second. It's a really good extender. But you have so much redundancy with all of your search cards, and you can maybe cut down on some of these ratios. Then there's 3 Spinny, 2 Jack Jaguar, 1 Falco, 1 Weasel. This is the other new monster that I play in the main deck. It's surprisingly, I thought it wasn't that good at first, but the more I played with it, the more I found that it is actually really strong. If you have 2 or more different Salamangreat names in your graveyard, you can special summon this from your hand. And then if it's in the graveyard and a Fusion Synchro, Xyz, or Link Salamangreat monster is summoned, and this is in your grave, you can target a different name in your graveyard, special summon it to your opponent's field, put Weasel to the bottom of your deck, and draw a card. And that can help sometimes play around like cards like Imperm and things like that, but also just can help to give you a target for like Sunlight Wolf and things like that. That did come up where I made a Sunlight Wolf, used Weasel, put it to the bottom of the deck, drew a card, and I special summoned a monster into the zone that the Sunlight Wolf was pointing towards, which is pretty cool. And then you've got the 1 Gazelle, of course. Don't need to say anything about that. So that's it for the Salamangreat monsters. Then you've got 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, and 3 Joel and Lockbird for the monster hand traps. Didn't really have much to say about those. Those were just both really good. For the spells, we have 3 Book of Moon. It's the best defensive card in the game right now, I think, honestly. Put in a ton of work. 3 Salamangreat Circle. Love seeing this card back at 3. If you don't know what it does, you search for a Salamangreat monster, or you can target a Salamangreat Link monster that had been Reincarnate Link summoned, and then it's unaffected by monster effects. That did come up in a Pearly matchup where they tried to Anima my Raging Phoenix, and I used Circle to save it, which is pretty cool. 3 Cyanite Mining for even more consistency, making this deck absurdly consistent because your starters are all in triplicate. You have Foxy, Salamangreat of Fire, Mining, and Circle, which is really good. Then I played 2 Triple Tactics Talents. These actually initially were going to be Gozen matches, but I just forgot to switch them out for that. Talents was okay, though. It came up a pretty decent amount. The idea behind Gozen match was obviously that if I'm going to be fire locked, I might as well lock my opponent as well. And my deck only really relies on one attribute, where most of the decks in the format right now use 2 or 3. But Talents was very good. It actually kind of overperformed in a couple of matchups. Specifically, Pearly really put in a lot of work. Then 2 Pot of Desires. I'm a big fan of this card. If you've been on the channel, you know how much I love Pot of Desires. 1 Will of the Salamangreat and 1 Salamangreat Sanctuary. Will is only at 1 because as long as you get to Salamangreat of Fire, again, assuming you don't get interrupted, you can actually just search it directly from your deck whenever you want. So it's really not as necessary as it was before. Although with more Nibiru's being played recently, I could definitely see maybe bumping it up to 2 or 3 to kind of counter Nibiru. So that was the spells. And then for the traps, you have 3 Infinite Impermanence, 1 Salamangreat Roar, and 1 Salamangreat Rage. So that was the main deck. It was 40 cards. For the extra deck, you have 1 Mirage Stalio. You use it primarily in your initial fire combo, but other than that, it doesn't really come up that much. 3 Balinks, 1 Link Decoder. This is a card that initially, I haven't been playing with these kinds of decks lately, so I didn't think it was going to be that impactful, but it ended up being a card that really overperformed. If you use it to link summon a 23 or higher, 2300 attack or higher Cyber monster, you can special summon it from the graveyard and banish it and leaves the field, so it gives you an extra material. And that came up a lot. There were times where you would end on Transcode Talker and Decode Talker Heat Soul like this, and this would help you to do that. So that's something to keep in mind. And then we have the 3 Sunlight Wolf, of course. You don't really end on Sunlight Wolf as much anymore, so 3 can be a little weird, but I liked having the 3rd one in there. Splash Mage, Update Jammer, that's pretty normal. Decode Talker, Heat Soul, and Transcode Talker. This is your, generally you want to end on the Raging Phoenix, but if you can't, you want to do this play instead. Assuming you didn't use Salamangreat of Fire, because if you did, then this play gets shut out because you can't summon on fires, which can be a little weird, but it was pretty cool. And then 2 Salamangreat Raging Phoenix. This card definitely overperformed. So what it does is it's the new Link 4 with 1 up arrow and then the 3 down. If it's summoned using another Raging Phoenix as material, you can search your deck for any Salamangreat card. And then if a Face of Fire or if a fire monster you control is destroyed, while this is in your graveyard, you can special summon this back, and it gains attack equal to that monster. So at one point I was in a Pearly matchup, and I had 1 Phoenix engraved, another one on field. I double knocked the first Phoenix with his monster, or with her monster to double knock, and then special summon back the second Raging Phoenix with 5,600 attack points, which is pretty cool. And then in another matchup, my opponent, he forced me to do that same play, and it's really cool. This card is really strong, and also it can trigger if you use your Salamangreat of Fire, which is pretty cool. You can banish it to pop one of your Cyber monster, then summon this back, and then get some additional value out of that, which is pretty cool. And then of course the last monster is Access Code Talker. I don't think I need to explain anything about Access Code Talker. For the side deck, you've got 3 Kurikara Div Incarnate. Never came up, but I did like the fact that it's a fire, so you can loop it with Sunlight Wolf, and it's able to out Pearly Noir. But the Pearly matchup tends to favor you pretty heavily if you're able to play, so I don't necessarily know that that was the best. But it's also over there for Kashtira. 3 Nibiru, the Primal Being, for when you go second into combo. 2 Cosmic Cyclone and Duster. I'm not sure I want to keep these 3 in there. This was mostly because I was afraid of random decks, but I forgot just how powerful Foxy Tune, or Salamangreat Foxy can be. So, back row didn't really end up being a problem. 3 Dark Ruler No More for Sprite and random combo decks, of course, and then 3 Dimensional Barrier for when you go first. So that was the deck. Like I said, it was pretty straightforward, but let me show you really quick how Salamangreat of Fire by itself can be everything. So we'll just do it down here. Sorry about the glare, the lighting's in a weird spot. So you summon your Salamangreat of Fire, and we'll just say you opened with this. Let's say this is your opening hand. You can normal summon your Salamangreat of Fire and add the Salamangreat Gazelle to your hand. Link off your Salamangreat of Fire into your Balinks, and then chain 1, chain 2, special summon Gazelle, and then add your field spell. Gazelle can send Spinny, and then from there, special summon Spinny, Xyz summon Mirage Stalio, and then activate your Mirage Stalio to summon Jack Jaguar on the field. So then you have this, and again, this is so far all off of one card. Then you link summon Jack Jaguar and Balinks into your Sunlight Wolf. Again, sorry about the crowded space, I'm kind of rushing right now. Send back Balinks for Sunlight Wolf, or for Jack Jaguar under Sunlight Wolf, which will then trigger the Sunlight Wolf to add back the Gazelle to your hand. And then you link these 4 together, or these 3 together for a link 4 for Raging Phoenix. Activate your field spell, and then reincarnate link Raging Phoenix into another one, which will trigger to add either of the traps. I mean, or you could add Will, or if you opened up with all those, you could somehow add Circle. So you can add any of these or the monsters. So just off of the Raging Fire, or the Salamangreat of Fire, you will end on the field spell, Raging Phoenix, Gazelle in hand, 4 unknowns, as well as any Salamangreat trap you want, which is pretty solid because if you do Roar, you obviously have a negate. If you do Rage, you have up to pop 4. And so that was kind of the bread and butter that I was doing all day yesterday, just to make it so that way, even if they outed my field, my plays were generally so efficient because of the lack of resources required to do them that I was able to win out in a grind game scenario. So that's the deck for you. Let me know, like I said, down in the comment section below what you think. And until next time, have a wonderful day.